Hey everybody, Jamie Starr here for the New World News Network. So, I wanted to do another video kind of touching on the topics that I've mentioned and referenced in the past couple videos because it's really been on my mind lately, and frankly, I don't feel like confining my content creation to the formula and algorithm of YouTube, which I think is a huge part of this problem. So, first off, I want to give a shout out to this creator, Anomaly Inc. I came across this video last night. I'm done with the the decline of the MCU and why I'm done with it. And this video perfectly articulates a lot of the issues I've been having, not just with the MCU, but with pro wrestling and politics. And I left a comment on here that I can't find, but it basically explained that I'm seeing this sort of conflict culture be propagated in all these different areas, and it really makes engaging with any of this stuff just I don't know, just very gross and off-putting. And I mean, let me just scroll down here. Yeah, I can't see the original one, but I mean, I'll make the same point here. Whether it is professional wrestling, this Marvel versus DC shit, this Democrat versus Republican shit, like, I'm all for people having their favorites, but the fervor of people where it's what I like is better than what you like because what you like is stupid is the attitude. And frankly, I think a large part of the propagation of this everything's a battle, everything's a conflict has been created by YouTube. Now, we all have seen the data, I presume, about how Facebook propagates this all for engagement, and YouTube does the same. Like I mentioned, even in a, again, I wish I had that comment, because I basically said that because of YouTube's algorithm and people making this content daily, everything just has the same sort of meh, because people are constantly grasping at the slightest little shred of info that they can turn into a video, so they have their 3 daily uploads and can do that Tim Pool format. And like, that's why it's like so infuriating to see Tim Pool going on about this doxing nonsense and how proud he is of his fucking overpriced billboard in Times Square. Like anyone's even gonna see it there. I mean, fuck. You take out a Google ad, you moron. Like, I'm just so over all of this pettiness. And like, even there's a guy who worked in marketing on Timcast and was like, well, there's a 6 or 7 points of marketing where you need to show it like this many times. And Tim just completely dismissed it and was like, yeah, but my billboard. Fuck your fucking billboard. Doxing isn't even a real issue. And if you think I'm full of it on that, debate me. But as far as I'm concerned, Ian already deaded the whole issue when he said, is it illegal? And your response was no. Moral outrage, I've said enough on that. The problem is that it's still going on, and the issue with Tim Pool is he talks about all these issues every day with the same amount of rage and outrage, so that everything is just equally as blah. And it's going on not just in the news, like again, like I mentioned, that's where it happens in politics, where it's the constant battle. And when you're engaged in it, you don't see things rationally. Like, I've had people that challenged me in my videos of it, and after walking them through my way of seeing things, where I'm like, listen, take a step back, realize this is a war, first off, and then try to be objective. What Libs of TikTok did was expose and amplify publicly available information to the opposition of those people. What did Taylor Lorenz do? Expose and amplify information of the opposition to. Both are hoping for negative consequences to happen to the people they exposed. Don't fucking kid yourselves about that. But, oh, Taylor Lorenz cried and played the thing. Who cares? This is a war. This shit happens in war. I mean, I'm so sick of people throwing around. This is, again, where things become meh. People say culture war. Tim Pool can say culture war, culture war, culture war. And then when there's an actual attack in the culture war, you suddenly forget what the term war actually means. Oh, well, it's 4th generational, 5th generational war, and man, people get hurt in war, buddy. That's the fucking reality of it. And honestly, the fact that this war, tribal conflict mentality is in everything now makes it all suck. I mean, it's why I've retreated into music, basically. Because my music isn't going to talk back to me and tell me some other genre is better than the genre I like. But I have done videos, like, I can explain why this is. The reason this is all going on is the adjustment period. People are having a hard time adjusting to the endless amounts of content that's available. I've said nothing is mainstream anymore. Everything is niche. And people they can't wrap their heads around that. Because, like I mentioned in my video about abortion, I feel as if these people have such little self-esteem that they can't handle their interests being niche. They can't handle having what they like and being confident that they like it because it's good. This is exactly, I said this in my video about Carlin, about the gay shit. If you're gay and you want to be gay, go be gay. You don't need the world to tell you it's okay to do it, to go and do it. If you do, you have so much deeper issues than whatever the situation is. You shouldn't need that much external validation. But that's all this is. So let's just run through a few of these real quick about how I see the issues manifesting. Because again, this video is inspired by this video by Anomaly Inc. Because he basically points out within the Marvel and DC stuff, it's DC sucks, Marvel's better because everything's interconnected and the cameos, and there's this whole industry basically where, it basically led to Sony and Marvel not needing to lift a finger to market Spider-Man No Way Home to be $1 billion movie. Because there are schmucks on YouTube that need to crank out content every day and will latch onto any shred of anything to theory craft. Oh, well, it's really amazing in a lot of ways that Marvel can just haphazardly crank out this shit, have plot holes left and right, and then there's this side industry of independent content creators that will then fill in all the holes and connect dots where Marvel probably had no mindfulness of these dots being there. And these people will, like, post hoc after the fact be like, oh, well, there was actually an Easter egg in Iron Man 2 where it says Wakanda on a cell phone, and that was the Easter egg that led us up to Black Panther and then to the Infinity. And it's like, fuck. This just takes all the enjoyment out of everything when these people are just, latching onto anything desperately. Oh, Deadpool is in Doctor Strange 2, and this person's in it, and that person's in it, and it's like, it's, oh my God, it's like when I would joke about the liberals doing the hip-hop shout-outs, being like, where my trans at, where my trans at, where my blacks at, where my blacks at, where my gays at, and it's like that with fucking comic book characters. Where's Dr. Doom at, where's Ghost Rider at, where's this one? I have heard everyone is in this movie the same way everyone was supposed to be in Infinity War, the same everyone, because you know what, you just need it to crank out the bullshit. Like, you want to talk about fake news? These areas are just littered with fake news. So, of course, though, because of this whole interconnected, oh, Marvel is bright and this and that, and DC is dark. And again, People can like what they like. My problem is with the attitude that what I like is better than what you like because of X, Y, and Z. I mean, even like, yeah, I mentioned in the one video, Josh from Den of Nerds, talked to him in a video, left a comment, and I was like, people's issues with all this Miss Marvel, female Thor and all of this is it's all just derivative characters. It's all characters based off of more established characters, and it's not just the derivative part. It's the need to denigrate that which you are based off of. Hawkeye is a great example. Kate Bishop is based off of Clint Barton, and when they do a TV show about it, Kate Bishop needs to keep rubbing it in Hawkeye's face, well, I'm just naturally better at you at everything, and even though I look up to you, there's no reason to, because I'm better than you at everything. And even in the show, Hawkeye admits, oh, yeah, you're much better, and you make me realize how shitty I am. That's the problem, is it's the derivative characters who need to establish themselves by denigrating that which they are based off of. And that right there is a source of conflict. Well, who's better, the original character or this character? Well, you establish the new character by creating conflict with the old character. So, obviously, everything spreads from there. The WWE AEW shit, now we can talk in wrestling terms, honestly exposes both fan bases, mostly the WWE side, though, as being a bunch of fucking marks. And it's not like there aren't even marks on the AEW side. There are. But this whole, oh, well, if AEW's gonna compete, well, then Tony Khan needs to do X, Y, and Z, and they need to realize this, and that. Here's the reality. If you listen to any of the wrestlers, like, there's a handful I can name, Jericho, Danielson, Samoa Joe. If you listen to any of the WWE wrestlers that have gone to AEW, one of the points they keep bringing up that everyone seems to overlook is blood. They're in AEW because they have liberties there for a level of violence, blood, storytelling, as they say, that is not allowed in WWE. The easiest way to put this is WWE is a PG product and AEW is rated R. That's all there is to say. So, and if you look at these things through a lens like that, if you aren't so in it that you don't know what's going on and it's just, I'll defend my side at all costs, you realize these things, and they're very obvious. But everyone is so fixated on the conflict, and, oh man, one of the other points I left on Anomaly Inc.'s thing is, what these people are doing is, because everything is so meh, and they aren't getting a level of excitement out of these things that they claim to enjoy, they engage in the conflict to trick their brains into thinking the level of excitement and response is from the product and not the conflicts they are creating around it. That's what I really think is going on. Because I'll say to these people, yo, yes, both are wrestling companies. They're not competing for viewership. The only thing they compete over is their talent / actors, because one is catering to PG and the other is an adult product. It'd be like saying Batman the Animated Series is competition for the rated R Joker movie because the Joker is a character in both. But one is meant for children, the other is meant for adults. And if you don't grasp that, you're a mark. And you think there's some sort of level of crazed competition between the two. Like, I mean, I've seen Girl on Cinema who I used to like, but again, as she is trying to crank out more content, her takes just become more and more desperate. Oh, AEW needs to update their look. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't watch wrestling for the aesthetics and the overlays and the lighting. Like, what? What? I mean, that's such a girl take, honestly. Like, it really undermines the fact that I thought you had reasonable critiques about wrestling. And then there's, like I said, there's just other people in the comments that will basically have hot takes like, I watched 2 of the first episodes of AEW, and I can tell you what Tony Khan really needs to do to run this show based off of 2 episodes of a TV show I saw 3 years ago. And then there's other people in the comments just being like, I mean, trying to one-up that by being like, well, I've only seen half an episode, and I can tell you they need to do X, Y, and Z. First off, the Khans are billionaires. They own analytic companies. We're in the day and age of... I mean, this is another part of the issue, is these schmucks online engaged in this conflict culture don't even realize the level of data that these companies have access to. Tony Khan knows moment by moment what's working and what isn't. Oh, well, AEW is getting boring because they keep starting every episode with CM Punk. Well, you know why they're doing that? 'Cause it's working. 'Cause he's looking at his numbers and seeing, oh, that works? I'm gonna keep doing it. You do what works in business. That's how you become successful and a billionaire. I don't know if you realize that. Another funny thing about these marks, Tony Khan comes out and says, the majority of AEW hatred online is actually a bunch of bots. Now, I see that because I'm in music and NFTs on Twitter, and every time I post anything, hashtag music, hashtag NFT, the response is all bots. So I never doubted it for a second. And again, I know this is a numbers guy. This is an analysis guy. He's all about stats, analytics, and numbers. To think a number cruncher is just willy-nilly saying this as some sort of cope to defend his company is wishful thinking by these people, because what happens? A week later, Elon Musk buys Twitter and says there's a widespread bot problem. I mean, again, these same people probably thought Russian bots swayed the election. So, you know, Russian bots can sway the election. Elon Musk can say there's a problem with bots. I can say there's problems with bots and music and NFTs. But, oh no, there's no bots hating on the wrestling company you hate because you've got the right opinion. I mean, fucking crazy, these people. So, it's happening, like I said, this shit goes on in all of these areas I enjoy, and it's basically, it makes everything suck. It really makes everything suck. One other little tidbit I just want to throw out there, just because I don't think it warrants its own video. Because this whole conflict culture that, you know, a lot of it's rooted in politics and then it seeps into these other areas. One of these things I keep hearing about is women's wrestling. We need more women's wrestling. Women's wrestling needs a spotlight. Women's wrestling needs more time on TV. AEW isn't doing enough for their women's wrestling division. And I hear this from places like What Culture. I hear it from places like Wrestle Talk. What is kind of culty, another one of them. There's a handful, a lot of British ones actually. And the interesting thing about this women's wrestling, we need women's wrestling, we need more women's wrestling. Well, all of these people swoon over New Japan Pro Wrestling. Oh my God, AEW's working with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, what New Japan wrestlers are going to wrestle Britt Baker? What New Japan wrestlers are going to wrestle Thunder Rosa? Oh, New Japan Pro Wrestling has no women's wrestling. Interesting. Why is there no demand for women's wrestling from New Japan? Now, I know the reason. The reason is because it's not a Western white country. And they would never demand something of a non-white country that they demand of their white country, because they are white supremacists. This is the reality of why What Culture has a little Black Lives Matter thing pop up on their thing, even though no one that you see on camera is black. There's no reason for it. They're from the fucking UK. but why they need to virtue signal this American politics shit. But they'll never come out and criticize New Japan's lack of women wrestling, because that's another culture, and we have to respect Japanese culture, and they have Stardom, and they have their separate women's wrestling things, and that's just perfectly fine. But they'll fucking make these demands of AEW, whether it makes business sense or not. Why haven't we had another all-women's pay-per-view? Why do you make these demands for this company, that company, but not this other company? Seriously. So, I mean, that's the reality of it. I hate all of this shit now. Like, to engage with the fan culture around any of these things, or the political culture, even like I said in my other video, tried to engage with Carlin today, Carlin Borisenko, about this whole political shit, blocked. Just asked for clarification on something. Hey, you're saying these crazy things. What do you mean by this? Block. Okay. So it's just conflict culture. That's all she wants. She just wants, oh, well, you know, the left is protesting and they're going to be in battle with the Republicans, and by the Republicans doing something, they've actually doomed themselves forever. And fuck you. Fuck all of this. It's so stupid. It really is. I liked it more when media was one-sided. And I'm really, really starting to fall into the bring on the fascism stance. Like, I am really just being like, I want a police state that tells these people, shut up and sit down and enjoy what you get, and fucking keep your opinion to yourself and your close circle of friends. Like, do not go online and shout this shit out publicly, and if you say something stupid and try to step to someone, there needs to be some consequences that are hard and swift to knock people back into line. Like, that's really where I'm at. Like, even the whole doxing thing with Taylor Lorenz, I said, the only reason you have to worry about this shit is because no one respects the Second Amendment, no one respects private property, no one respects this shit, because if those things were in place and you had someone's address and you had beef with them, you wouldn't do anything with it because you'd be too worried that they'd come to you and say, you're on my property, get the fuck off or I'm gonna shoot you. End of story. End of story. So I'm just ready for it to just swing hard into the we're done with the bullshit phase, because I'm done with the bullshit. So, all of that being said, if you like the channel, support the channel, go to thumpermusic.us, and there's links there for everything, PayPal, Bandcamp, whatever. And have a good one, everyone. Enjoy what you enjoy, and fucking don't be a dick about it.